So in the second part of this topic, we're going to look at the maths library. Now, we've not yet come across libraries, and they are incredibly useful when we get to later programming challenges and tasks, because they have a lot of code actually already created for us, which basically means we can be a bit lazy, and programmers like to be lazy. You know, we try and make sort of shortcuts where we can. So what we can do, for example, is we can use the math library, and the reason I said math is because that is what it is saved as in Python. So whenever we want to use libraries, the first thing we have to do is we have to say on line 1, import math, or import any libraries that we're going to use. Now, the reason they are set at the beginning of our program is because if they need to be used later on, they have to be imported or installed first of all. Okay, it's like imagining you're reading a book. You know, you need to have the book in front of you before you can open it and read it. It's the same here. The program needs to know that it needs the maths sort of functions before it's going to use them, so it has to bring them in. So if I did the maths equations first and then put import math later, it wouldn't work, because it would be like saying, here's the, read the book, but I haven't yet got the book in my hand. So you need to make sure it's there first, okay? So we've got import math, and then what we can do is we can use a few different functions. Now I'm going to show you a couple that you're going to need to know. There are loads and loads more, and if you want to have a little bit of research on Google and see what other math functions there are in Python, feel free to. But the one I'm going to show you first of all is math.py. Now, I've previously mentioned setting up a variable called pi equals 3.14. What we can do with the library is we can actually just call math.py, and that is already set for us. We don't have to then go and make the variable and put the number in. Okay, so if I wanted to show what that is, I could do print math.py, and when I print it, it will then print out the value of pi to 15 decimal places. Okay, so that's a lot easier than us having to find it and write it out and set it all up ourselves. We can just use that. If I then, say for example, was using it in a maths equation and I wanted to do it for just 2 decimal places, I can actually use a function called round. You will have come across this in maths as well, rounding numbers. So if I wanted to make my program here rounded to 2 decimal places, I could say that pi rounded, and I'm going to put 2 dp, so I know it's the 2 decimal places. So pi rounded 2 decimal places, and I'm going to put here the function to round, which is round. Inside I'm going to put math.py, because that's the number, and I'm going to put after the comma 2 for 2 decimal places. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do print pi rounded to dp. Okay, so if I now run that, that will then give me pi to 2 decimal places, 3.14. If I wanted to change it to 4 decimal places, I just change the number 4, and that will then give me that one there. Okay, and you will see as well it has rounded it up, because it was 3.14159, but it has actually rounded it correctly for us, which is really quite useful if we are doing, you know, things with money, for example. You know, if you end up getting 72.5p, then obviously you really want that rounded up to 73p rather than 72. So it can be really useful because it does it for us. So again, if I just change it back to 2 decimal places, it's 3.14, okay? So far I've shown you the pi function, I've shown you the rounding function, and the last one I'm going to show you is the square root function. So if I wanted to find out the square root of a number, especially larger numbers, what I can do is I can do math.sqrt for square root, and then in the brackets I put the number that I want. So if I wanted the square root of 16, for example, okay, I could put that in the brackets. I'm going to put at the beginning here a variable, so I'm going to put root num equals, and then I'm going to do print root num. Okay, if I run that now, I should then get 4 at the end. It doesn't matter that it's 4.0, that's just the data type, which is a float, so that's fine. Okay, if I did the number, let's go 36 this time, that should then give me 6. If I did a really completely random number, so I'm going to just put loads more, really large number, the square root of that number there would be 1901 point etc. Okay. Now I'm going to just expand a tiny little bit more on this as well. So I'm going to move this bit down here. Okay, say for example I ask the user to input a number. So I'm going to say user num equals int input, and then I'm going to say enter a number. So I want them to type a number in. And then what I want them to do is find the square root of whatever they type in. So instead of having the number set here in the math.sqrt function, I can actually put the variable name here that I asked them to type it in. So what that will do is it will ask them to type in a number on line 8. The user will type it in, and then it will then find the square root of that number once I change that to user num. Okay, so it will find the square root of the number that they have typed in, and then it will show me what it is. So if I run this now, it says enter a number, so I'm going to put let's go for 99. Okay, press enter. It says the square root of 99 is 9.94 blah 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 blah. Okay, now I could even go a tiny little bit more sort of in detail, and I could actually round this square root number to 2 decimal places or 1 decimal place. So I could put in here round, and then because I've put an open bracket, I need to make sure I've got 2 closed brackets at the end. And after root num, I'm going to put 2 decimal places. Okay, so round the square root to 2 decimal places. So if I run that again, I'm going to put 99 again, and you'll see there it says 9.95 now, where it did before have a lot more extra decimal places. Okay, like I said, there are lots of extra maths functions you can use with this in Python. Feel free to have a look sort of on Google and see what comes up. But these are the ones you're going to need to know for the challenges and for your exams. So as long as you know these ones, you'll be absolutely fine. Okay. So if you have a look at the code underneath, go on to the challenges and the tasks below, and then you can go on to the next topic. Well done so far.